So I've actually done some research, and maybe I should get my insurance bucket out for this, because there's going to be some people that may not agree with what I'm about to say.
Okay.
Be good. But it is what it is. Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. This is your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Bears United, and I'm joined today by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo. What's going on, Brody?
So just a real quick question, for everybody listening, we pray before the beginning of every podcast. Have you ever fell asleep while you was praying? Because I almost did just now. So I just had to throw that out there and get off my conscience.
Bro, I have. So it's been a while, but I remember, like, usually Kimberly and I, we always pray before we go to sleep. And so I remember a long time ago, man, I would be praying, bro, and just be out, bro. She'd be like, this fool just really fell asleep. Yeah. I have a funny story about that. I'll let us go through the intro. The struggle is real. The struggle is real. So we're also joined by the Savage himself, Mr. Billy. What's going on, Billy?
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, bro. My back is killing me too. I know, right?
It's cold out there, Billy?
It is cold. It's 42 degrees. And it feels like that in the studio too, so it's pretty cold.
Yeah, you see me with a jacket on this morning, bro. It'd be cold in the studio.
42 degrees.
It's colder inside than it is outside.
It's 15 here.
You see my picture that I sent you yesterday?
I did. I chose to ignore it. I chose to not acknowledge you rubbing my nose in the fact that I live in a tundra.
Bruh, so I sent AJ a picture and Billy a picture yesterday. My wife, she did her thing this week, and we celebrated 9 years of marriage last week, and so
that's an accomplishment.
It is. So we are in the mud towards 10 years, and so we went out for the weekend, and we went out to Huntington Beach and Newport Beach. So we ended the weekend eating breakfast on the coast or whatever, and so I sent that to AJ because I know wherever he's at, I was like, he probably in the frozen tundra right now, so I wanted to make sure he knew that it was sunny somewhere in the United States.
I about called y'all's governor and told on you. About said, hey, Ryan outside eating right now. I don't know if he's allowed doing that or not, but you might want to check up on it.
Nah,
I got him GPS'd if you want to, say hi to him.
Our governor don't want no type of work right now. He's on the verge of being recalled.
Mm-hmm.
Is he?
I saw Fox News posting about Major Williams, and I feel like his name's getting out there.
He is. So, we had Major on the podcast. So our governor right now, he's super close. I think they need 1.4 million votes to recall him by the end of March. And I think he's at 1.2 right now.
Whoo.
Yeah.
That's close.
Yeah, it's very close. Very, very. He's very close to being recalled. It's only happened one other time in history in California, and I think that was right.
That's
before.
Surprising because Cali been tripping.
No, man.
I don't know what's
bro. Yeah, I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut. But anyway, so I sent that picture over to AJ yesterday, and so that was good. But
that's the type of friend Ryan is. Hey, AJ's freezing. I'm gonna send him a picture of me soaking up some sun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Down by the beach.
Yeah, absolutely. I did that to another friend of mine on Monday. I went golfing in Encina down in Palm Springs, and it was beautiful, man. Like, weather, it had just finished. It came off of the rainy / snowy weekend in the mountains, and so there's mountains around you. I paid attention to the mountains, bro, and so there's mountains around us, and there's snow in the mountains. But down at the bottom, it was beautiful. Sun was out. The weather was perfect. So I sent it to a friend of mine that lives in New York, and he just made it back to me. He's a golfer too, and he sent me a video of his house, bro, and it was like freaking covered in snow. Covered in snow. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, they get smacked with snow up there.
Oh, that seems terrible. So anyways,
we get middle of the road snow. By the way, did you see Jordan is coming out with the Cement 4 golf shoes?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
I'm just saying, I might pick up golfing just because,
bro. So yeah, so my current golf shoes right now are some Jordans. That friend,
which ones?
There's not a number to them.
Okay,
and so but
there's like a Jordan golf shoe.
Yeah, exactly. But the friend I went golfing with, or the friend I was telling you about right now, last time we went golfing together, he was wearing the 11s.
Was that like Barack Obama or?
I'm not gonna tell you who it was.
Who was it? Yeah, you can't say.
I'm not gonna tell you who it was.
Security clearance reasons. I got you.
No, I'll tell you off camera, but
I'm picking up what you're putting down, brother. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
But he had on some 11s though, and I was like,
Steve Harvey.
Yeah, right. You stupid.
Michael B. Jordan. Somebody.
You crazy. So, anyways, so yeah, man, what's going on with you, bro?
Man, it's cold. I'm staying in the house, man. It is freezing. Little man got sick for the first time, which I'm curious, like 10 years from now, how these COVID pandemic babies are going to like be as like young adults or like, kids, like socially. Cause they ain't really been out like socially like that. So he's a year almost. Well, the end of this month, he'll be a year, and this is his first time getting sick. So,
well, if the Weeknd's halftime show wasn't a telltale sign of, we all about to be like robots.
Bro,
that was weird.
I was so confused by that.
Me too. I was like, this is weird, bro.
I didn't see it, but I heard it like wasn't that great. Is that true?
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was too much. Like
it was. They said he spent
like,
$7 million
of his own money. He spent $7 million of his own money to make the show exactly how he wanted it. And he didn't even get paid for the performance.
He didn't?
No.
Wow. Bro, I'm not even like, I like his music, but the performance
is dope.
But the performance, bro, I'm like, here's my thing. Like, why do we always got to make like stuff like, let me
over the top? Like just play your music kind of thing?
Yeah,
just extra.
Like what? Yes, there it is. Extra. Like the old days when people would just get on stage, get your guitars out and stuff like that, and just perform. Yep. Like why do we always got to just go like wazoo, weirded out, like
that's it.
Hidden messages like why we always got to do that? Why can't we just get up there and just do a performance, get off stage?
I think it's a combination. I think the first thing we getting old. I think I'll just put that out there for everybody. I think we're getting to that age where like my young whippersnappers.
I sound like my daddy.
Pop culture is no longer for us.
Pull a guitar out, play me a tune.
Yeah. I think that's the first part. But the second part, I think there's a lack of talent. So they like do all these theatrical stuff.
Wow.
The last Super Bowl performance that killed it was Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars killed it.
Bruno Mars is a dog.
He is.
He's also a little off, like whatever. But he's a dog.
He killed it. But
you know who I'm a fan of, and I feel like y'all gonna judge me for this, so I have to explain it like immediately after. I'm not even gonna give y'all a chance to react when I say it. I'm gonna just jump right into the explanation. Ed Sheeran, and this is why. Ed Sheeran does an entire concert with just him and like a loop pedal. So like he'll play a string and then put it on repeat. And then play a different one, and by the time it's done, he'll have his whole song playing, and then he'll just sing over it.
That's
he don't got a
cool.
Band. He's
cool.
sweet with it. He'll like drum on the guitar. He's sweet. Whole concert.
You had to get to it. How'd you even get to an Ed Sheeran concert?
I'm a fan. I'll say it. I'm an Ed Sheeran fan. I think we even looked into getting him to sing at our wedding.
Was he opening up for the Dave Matthews Band you guys saw?
Oh man, pulling his black
card. Did we talk about that on the podcast?
Yeah, we did.
Oh
okay, man. All right.
So, anyways, man, let me talk about my weekend real quick before we get into some serious stuff.
Here we go. I went hiking up Mount Everest.
Whatever, man. No, that's what y'all do. Anyways,
actually, I'm gonna let you go ahead because I did see something I want to talk to you about. It's funny though.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we went to my wife. She had a weekend planned, and she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take you out for our 9-year anniversary." So I was like, "All right, cool." So she didn't tell me what the first thing we were gonna do was. I knew we were gonna stay out.
Oh, she planned it all.
She just planned the one activity we were gonna do. Like I knew we were gonna stay out in Newport Beach. I knew we were gonna go do the other activity. But anyways, we had to drop the kids off at the in-laws, and we were like running late, like always, bro. Like if you have kids, you can relate. Like
packing up takes forever,
bro. You can plan to be on time. Like
it's
a month in advance, and still, and even the night before, say we gonna wake up 2 hours before so we can get out the door and be on time, and then that day comes and you still end up running late. So, anyways,
and then the one time you on time, you're like, man, what did I forget?
Yeah, exactly.
Do I got his binky?
Yeah, like Home Alone. So, anyways, so we
Forgot the baby.
we were running late, and but we made it on time. And so when we pulled up, we pulled up to like the dock in Newport, and she was like, "I'm taking you parasailing." So I was like, "Oh, snaps!"
Yep.
I was like, "Okay." Now, and I'm not big on heights.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really tripping. Like, I'm kind of weird about heights. Like, I don't mind going up in heights a little bit.
But coming down really fast is scary.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. It's hard to explain. I'm not really like
the whole falling thing.
Yeah, yeah. So either way, so I'm like, so she was like, "Are you nervous?" I was like, I'm not really nervous. But what made it so bad was I've been on this kick like trying to drink a lot of water. I had to pee so bad, bro.
And when you up there, you up there.
Oh yeah, bro. So I was like, man, I could pee right now. Nobody would even know.
Make it
She was
rain,
like, yeah,
brother.
they would. She was like, no, they wouldn't. I was like, no, they wouldn't. But anyways, I held it. I didn't do that, man. So like, but when we were going out there, like, you know, it takes like 10 minutes. Have you guys ever been parasailing before?
Mm-hmm.
I know AJ ain't.
No. Billy said it quick. Yep. Every weekend.
So anyways, like the boat goes like, you know, you don't go fast because you got to go through the harbor. And so as soon as you get like towards like the starting line, like where like, you know, everybody can start, you know, jet skis and everybody can go full boat.
Yeah.
Like he just like, yeah. I was like, oh snap. So I was sitting towards the front of the boat, and dog, like we hit this wave. And I came back in my L3C759, whatever. I heard every spinal like just snap. I was like, oh my goodness, bro.
My neck and my back.
Yeah. So Kimberly started feeling bad. She was like, are you okay? I was like, no, I'm good. I was like, that hurt bad though. So
even if you wasn't, you can't tell her at that time that you're not okay. Yeah.
And then on top of that, I still had to pee real bad. So I'm like, golly, man. So anyways,
a little bit came out.
So I was uncomfortable, bro. I was uncomfortable to say the least, and it wasn't because of the heights. So then they hoist the first people up, bro. I'm like, gosh, like they going high. I was like, they going real high. And so it's like these two little surfer dudes, just like they're the ones that run the boat. They look like Billy a little bit. And so
they were white. Is that what you're saying? Everything's gotta be racial. I get it.
So anyways, man, like they had music playing. So it was cool vibes, man, beach vibes for sure. So we went up, man, and it was cool. Like they were like, yeah, you guys could take your phones up there and film. And so I was like, man, I'm like kind of nervous about that because like knowing me, bro, I'm the one like start bobbling it like up there. So I'm like holding on. Like if y'all saw my video, I'm like holding on to my phone, but I wanted to film it. So I actually did a live from up in the air. So it was cool, man. It was real cool. So
that's what I was gonna say is I seen the video and I was gonna say I knew you was scared by how tight you was holding onto that phone because the phone was like shaking like. And then I think like Kimberly went to reach for it or something. You was like, no, I got this. He was like, I'm recording. Like, don't reach over here. And I was like, oh yeah, he's scared. He's scared up there.
I
which
wasn't
I would
even
be
scared.
too.
I was scared of my phone dropping, bro. That's sad though.
With you attached to it.
Nah, yeah. So, but I wasn't really that afraid of being up so high because in my mind I'm like, we above water. So if I got to do a pencil dive, if I got to do a pencil dive, I might break a couple ankles when I hit the water, but. You know, I might be fine.
But see, I don't mess with the ocean. I don't get like, I go to like Mexico or, you know, Jamaica. I don't get in the ocean.
I don't really mess with the ocean like that though either. But I'm just saying, I was saying like if I were to fall, it's a lot easier looking like falling over the ocean than it is like if I was parasailing over like somebody's house. You know,
would you have been like felt different if like you looked down and you seen like a fin like following the boat?
Of course I would, bro.
Would you have been like, hey, reel me in? Like,
of course I would. And I told Kimberly, I was like, you know, it's funny. She started laughing. I was like, because it's funny because they have this line. Now, obviously, the line is attached to the parasail. So it keeps going out, and it goes further and further and further and further. And so as it gets further, like, you know, you super far by that time. I was like, man, like, what if this thing were to just like, man, y'all checking to make sure this thing is tied to the boat securely? Because like, what if this thing just like came undone? Like Kimberly and I would
and then you just floating, all willy nilly.
We'd be floating, bro. Like I don't even know.
You can't control it.
No, you can't control it at that point.
Look, for all you young listeners, once you pass 30, you don't feel as invincible anymore. So you start worrying about these things.
Yeah,
Yeah, you just got too much life experience.
Yeah.
Like you
So
start to question everything.
There was a young
like,
couple on there, which one of the dudes, I think he actually did pee his pants, bro, because on the slide, he told the dude, like, they was like whispering something. He was like, oh, no, it's all good, bro. All good, bro. You know what I'm saying? No problem, bro. We'll put your stuff back over here, bro. Just enjoy yourself. So
Did I tell you about my snorkeling adventure in Jamaica?
No, you did tell us about that. You did tell us
That's
about
what it
that.
reminds me of.
Yeah, you
like
did
I
tell
need
us
you
about
to
that.
watch me.
Yeah.
Like whoever is in
Yeah.
charge of this, I need your eyes on me the
Yeah.
whole time.
So
Like they comfortable.
Yeah.
Watch me.
So it was fun. So after we did that, we met up with some friends out there because he was bringing his wife out there for her birthday. So we met up with some friends and we went shopping for a little bit, and then we went to. Have you guys ever done an escape room?
No.
You know what escape room is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So we went to an escape room. It was funny too because like I told when we walked in, I told the lady, she was all giddy and stuff. I was like, all right, cool. Like, you know, she's like, you guys excited? I was like, oh yeah, we ready. I was like, what you don't know about us? I was like, this is what we do for a living. We tour the country. We tour the country, and all we do is we do these escape rooms. We want to see how good yours is. So, you know, we got a rank. We're like number 2, going for the number 1 spot. So good luck to you. So the girl was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, we just got off the plane from Florida. We just did one in Florida.
Yeah. And that means you don't charge us either. So we do this for free.
So my whole group, they're like laughing. They're like cracking up like, this fool right here, bro. So anyways, we get in the escape room and we do like a little scary one. And this is my first one, by the way. All of us. It's all of us except one of our members. And bro, we was in there on drugs. Like Kimberly I was in this little small room. And then like my other friends, they were in the bigger room, and like we had to figure out all the clues to unlock our small room to get to them. And then once we made it to them, we had to figure out how we gonna get out together. Bro, we was in there. It started down the wrong path at first, but we ended up good. Like Kimberly and I started arguing and stuff.
I was just gonna say that's a risky game for anniversary.
Well, we ended up being good though. But like I had to check myself. I had to
They
check
broke
myself.
down into chaos in the first 5 minutes of the escape room.
We was in there fighting. They opened the door because they felt bad. I don't know.
I had to check myself, and then then I was like, man, and they give you a walkie-talkie. So they're like, hey, if you need we'll give you 5 clues. So if you use this walkie-talkie, if you want a clue. So I was like, man, I'm about to just get on this walkie-talkie and just ask for a clue. And my boy was like, no, we ain't doing that. I was like, dang, okay. So then finally, I think the lady started feeling bad, and bro, she just started giving us hints. Look over there at the skeleton. You know, look underneath, because she's watching this on surveillance.
It's in the book.
Look underneath the skeleton, bro. She was like, oh, and look over there at the chest. And so
The lobby's listening to you guys like, watch my 6, watch my 6.
Oh.
So it was funny. So either way, we still did good. We made it out, and she said like the pass rate for everybody is like 40 to 50%. So not everybody gets out, even with hints. So we made it out. So she gave us an extra 2 minutes. So because you have 60 minutes, so we got out in 62 minutes. And so we made it out.
I was in there for an hour.
Yeah, it's fun though. Like once it's kind of weird. You got to put your mind in like this puzzle mind. Like you got to solve it. I actually was feeling pretty good because I actually got the first hint, bro. I was like, oh, we got to do this. Like boom, 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 boom. Got the little combination, unlock something. I was like, oh yeah, I'm good. This is cake. We got this.
But see, that's why I haven't done it yet, because I'm afraid I will look at whoever I take with me different. Like I will look at them like, yeah, you stupid. Like how you ain't figured this out yet? Like,
nah,
we should do that.
We should. Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah,
We should. Next time we come out to Cali,
we should
all do like an escape room.
That would be fun.
And then listen, I'm gonna just say this. I'll put it out there, and then we should go skydiving.
No, I'm down for that. I've heard skydiving is an exhilarating experience that we all need to do. So I'm down. Mark it on our books. So anyways, we finished, and it was fun, man. Everybody pulled their weight. I will say that everybody pulled their weight. I was like, we should show up at an escape room with just jerseys on, just look like we just the real deal, like we warming up doing calisthenics and stuff. But I was like, man, I was like, we should create our own escape room. Like if I had my own escape room, I would make that thing so live, like I would like on the scary one. Like I would dress up in costume with just like a chainsaw,
stabbing people,
and just like start like sawing through wood, bro. And like you have to try to get out of that room before I cut through all the wood, bro.
or I'm gonna chop off your leg. Real life, I'm gonna chop your leg off.
So anyways, man, we did the escape room. It was fun, and then we hung out that night in the hotel room, and then came back home, and then we did, like I said, breakfast on the beach, and then came and picked up the kids. So it was a good weekend. Then we watched my man, the GOAT, Tom Brady, win his 7th one, bro. And I tried to tell people, like, look, Tom Brady is the GOAT. I was like, everybody was like, oh no, but Patrick Mahomes and KC's all. I'm like, look, man, you got a defense that's on fire right now, and you got the GOAT at quarterback. So needless to say, I was right in my predictions that Tom Brady was going. I just didn't think they were going to do him like that. Like my man Patrick Mahomes didn't even see the end zone. So,
you know what I walked away? 2 things about the Super Bowl. First one is funny. All right, so I'm watching the Super Bowl. You know, Tony Romo's doing his thing, and they show Tony, like, after a break, they show like Tony Romo, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna put his business out there. It was on Twitter. It is what it is. I'm like, Tony Romo, like, he peed himself a little bit. What's going on there? So I'm like, well, let me hop on Twitter and verify this. Hey, I type in Tony Romo. People got pictures, videos. I'm like, hey, Twitter is really undefeated. Instantly. I'm talking live. I seen it. I was like, that was quick. Hold on, let me check. Boom. Thousands of pictures and videos. I was like,
are you serious?
Twitter.
They said he peed his pants.
Well, I mean, he ain't like pee, but he just probably didn't shake enough, or he had like a little,
it happens to the best of us.
little spot,
little dribble drabble.
Yeah, somebody said no matter how much you shake and dance, a couple drops will always land in your pants. I was like, that's.
Oh man!
But the second thing, and this is on like a serious note, is I was watching the Super Bowl, and once again we talked about the GOAT, right? Like, you can't. He's the GOAT, right? Like, that's his team. No matter what team he goes to, that's his team. I forgot AB even played for them.
Oh, you did?
Because he came off of such a crazy year,
I know,
right? Like, think about where he was last year.
Last year, yep.
He was rapping, getting kicked from team to team.
Putting my man in a psychiatric ward.
All sorts of stuff. And you don't hear nothing about him. He ain't out doing nothing this year. And it got me thinking, like, man, Tom Brady is really in a different position than most of these other quarterbacks. And it made me take a step back and ask myself, like, man, like, what's my position where I'm at? Like, if Tom Brady is in such a leadership position that he could take somebody that was going through such a year as AB and keep it hush-hush. And, I mean, he out scoring touchdowns during the Super Bowl. He went out to do no crazy celebrations. He threw deuces to the camera and went right back. And I was like, man, AB even changed because he's around Brady. So I had to ask myself, like, man, like, even at work, like, what's my position on my precinct? Like, am I the leader, or am I like the crazy person trying to be reeled in? Am I just somebody that's out there doing their own thing that's not really part of the team? And it just really got my wheels turning, man, because you got to be on a different league to do something like that.
Bro, and you're absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons why. So I was never really a big Tom Brady fan like 3 or 4 years ago.
Neither was I.
Just because it's the Patriots, bro. Like, nobody really, I couldn't stand the Patriots.
Yep.
But when I started hearing this dude's story, when I started finding about like the underdog in him, they couldn't stand him in college. The dude was, last to get drafted, essentially. All these different things, these uphill battles he had to go through. And then the success that he started having, that's when I slowly started becoming a Brady fan. And then when he left to Tampa Bay and took a team, that hadn't been to a Super Bowl in over 10 years, back to the Super Bowl, I'm like, man, like, talk about a success story. But what I like most about him is like the stuff off the field is the fact, like you talk about bringing people up, like making them better. And so kind of like you, I'm like, man, what am I doing at work? How am I making people better? Am I, trying to draw the good traits out of people as opposed to allowing them to fester in their negative traits, as well as myself. And so I think that's what true leadership is about. Somebody posted a video. One of the guys on Tampa Bay did a live from a social media platform while they were in the locker room yesterday. And it was funny because, and I think I saved it.
I've seen it.
Yeah, they were like, where's Tom? Somebody asked the question, where's Tom? Where's Tom? And so he pans over to Tom, and Tom is just like, just doing his thing. Yeah, casually getting dressed. And he was like, and the dude, the player was like, man, this is what Tom does. Like, Tom is being Tom. Like, this ain't new for him. This ain't his first time here. And so I think that's what makes him so great. And that's what I was trying to tell people when it came to paying KC is that, yeah, they may have won the Super Bowl last year, but it says something when, he's won 7. That doesn't mean, that's not including how many times he's been. And so, and then one of the things, the post I saw before the Super Bowl was when Tom was at the Super Bowl last year in a suit, and he was like, this time next year, I'm not going to be here in a suit. And I was like, man, just boss. Like
he said it after this Super Bowl. He said, oh, we coming back.
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, he said it right when he was handed the trophy. He said, hey, we coming back.
Bro.
Like, yeah, you cut from a different cloth.
Yeah,
But I got a little beef with him, though.
What?
I got a little beef with him, though. He signed a petition to end qualified immunity for police officers. So I just got to holler at him,
Yeah,
nothing major, but.
So 2 things on that. So I've actually done some research, and, maybe I should get my insurance bucket out for this because there's going to be some people that may not agree with what I'm about to say.
Okay.
Be good. But it is what it is. So, me, I always do research on everything. I try to do research as much as I can. And I haven't really done a lot of posts on qualified immunity just because it's kind of like, I don't know how I feel about it. And this is why. So on the surface level, absolutely, I think we should have qualified immunity as police officers. But when you really deep down, dive into what qualified immunity really is, if you don't put yourself in a position as a police officer to do something that's immoral, corrupt, or anything like that, you don't even have to really worry about qualified immunity. If we really know what qualified immunity really means, because what it essentially is designed for is that anybody that's doing basically some shady type shenanigans, they can't come after you civilly. But as long as you're within the scope of your duties, acting in good faith and things like that, as long as you make appropriate decisions within that scope, they can't come after you civilly anyway. So what qualified immunity essentially does is it's for the people that they do a situation and it's very controversial, and then they could potentially come after you civilly. And if they do come after you civilly, the way the laws are written in certain places, they can only come after you civilly up to a certain percent. And I think that percent is 2%. So meaning you're really not going to pay a whole bunch of money civilly. Speaking, you might pay $5,000-$10,000, whatever, if they were to come after you personally from a civil standpoint. So where the people that qualified immunity would really affect is, let's say you're involved in a controversial shooting that is very, very controversial, then essentially they can potentially come after you civilly. And if they did come after you civilly, then that's when there's talk about how much money they can come after you for, which it wouldn't be a crazy amount of money. So that's why I say qualified immunity is good. It has its place. It definitely has its place for those controversial shootings. But as a totality of it, if you're an officer out there doing the right things for the right reasons, you should never even really have to worry about having qualified immunity or not, because it really wouldn't be applicable to you.
I think that's in a perfect world, though, because now I think we're in a place where we're judged by public opinion, meaning that, we'll just take my punch for, when I used force against that guy a couple of years ago. There were so many public figures, and I put that in air quotes for those of you just listening, that voiced their opinion about it, that swayed large groups of people's opinions in a negative way, meaning that, athletes seen the video with zero context. They did zero research. And then they said, that guy's a racist. That white cop is a racist, not knowing that I'm biracial, that I'm clearly not racist, right? All this stuff. It swayed a lot of people. So then all those people became upset. So say I didn't have qualified immunity in a situation like that, and that guy was like, well, I'm going to sue AJ now. Not only does that take away my peace of mind, right? Because at the end of the day, I know I did what was right, but now I have to live with this in the back of my mind. I'm getting sued. Maybe I'm trying to buy a house. Maybe I'm trying to do whatever, repair my credit, all this stuff that affects. Now I got to go to court, and seeing as this is such a high profile case now, because these celebrities seen the video and decided to retweet it or whatever, it could very much sway the outcome of that trial.
But here's the thing though, and this is what I come back to. So I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but even with popular opinion, how many times have we really, if we're going to be honest, have we really seen an officer legitimately charged and prosecuted based off of opinion?
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Because despite what people say, despite the negativity, despite all the stuff that comes out, where the rubber meets the road and these things go to court and there's litigation behind it, if an officer did the right thing for the right reasons, even if it's controversial, we've never really seen an officer prosecuted despite popular opinion, because the facts will always be the facts. And so even in your case, you're still in a good spot because you were still acting in accordance with the law, your policy, and case law, all that stuff. So you were in accordance with that. So I don't necessarily even think you would be affected, even despite all the negative outrage.
Yeah, I think that for me, the peace of mind knowing that someone couldn't cause me that much more weight to carry is really it for me. Not only that, I do think that this will be the year that we see if officers are being convicted, because last year I would say was the year we seen a handful of officers be charged with stuff where we're like, whoa, yeah, they charged that officer with this? Like, that's kind of different. So as we know, these cases can go on for a while, right? Like the Breonna Taylor one came back. They said that the officers, not going to be charged for that. But there are still a few out there, a handful out there that we're still waiting on a verdict. So I think this will be the year where we're like, okay.
So on that topic, because this actually brings us, actually kind of takes me into what I was going to go to next. Mm-hmm. But and I want you guys to hear me clearly. I don't want you guys to think like, oh, Ryan's supporting qualified immunity. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is like, because we as officers are making a huge deal as qualified immunity, as we and rightfully so we should in certain aspects, but we as officers can't necessarily say, oh well, we shouldn't get rid of qualified immunity, or shame on this person for supporting getting rid of qualified immunity, if we really don't even know what qualified immunity means. And the reason I say that is because it's very complicated. Like, I didn't even realize how complicated and convoluted qualified immunity, describing what qualified immunity is, until I really started doing research. Like, I actually had to do research to figure out what qualified immunity really is, because it's become like a catchphrase, like, oh, we need to get rid of qualified immunity, and we're saying, no, we don't need to do that, but we don't really even know what it is. So I actually had to go down the rabbit hole of figuring out and understanding what qualified immunity really is, to determine whether or not is this really good for us or is this going to be bad for us. And that's why I kind of ended up in a place where, no, I don't necessarily want people. I don't want them to get rid of qualified immunity, but at the same time, no, if they were to get rid of it, because this is how we have to start to think. If they were to get rid of it, am I comfortable still doing this job as a police officer without it? That's what it's going to come down to.
That's a hard question for a lot of people. And
it is a hard question. And it's a hard question for all of us, because it's going to affect us ultimately. So that's why I wanted to discover it and learn what it is. And that's why I say, for the most part, if you do what you're supposed to do within the confines of the law, with a moral and ethical heart, you should be fine. And so going back to your second point, was you said this year is going to be where we actually really start to see whether or not officers are prosecuted and charged. This kind of takes me into I made a post yesterday on Instagram, and I said something to the effect. Let me pull it up. Let me pull my phone up so I don't misquote myself.
It was good. You be out there tweeting now. You be tweeting them bars.
You see me doing my little thing a little bit? I'd be like, Rev Run, bro, in my bathtub. I said, this is for all those that, I haven't seen that before people. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so this goes two ways. 100%. And this is what I mean by it. And I'll start with the example. And me and AJ were talking about this before we got on the podcast today. The example of air. We don't see air. We definitely don't see air. But we know it exists. Why do we know it exists? Because scientifically, medically, if air didn't exist, then we wouldn't exist. So oxygen has to exist, but just because I don't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so
Yep.
I can go on a spiritual level, but I'm not. But what I'm getting to is in the physical, when we talk about this idea of, well, good cops don't exist. I've never seen one. Well, just because you've never seen a good cop, does that mean that good cops don't exist? And I think we get confused by that sometimes, because that's one of my pet peeves when I talk to people is they'll say, well, I've never seen that before. Well, just because you ain't never seen it, it don't mean it exists. And it's the same thing when I say it goes two ways. It's the same thing for police officers that say, well, there's no racist cops out there. This isn't 1945. This isn't 1950. Well, just because you've never seen a racist cop, it doesn't mean he doesn't exist. I literally just watched a video last week, and I'm going to make a post on it, for some cops in Atlanta that were on camera, caught on camera, their own body cameras, without them realizing it was on, saying calling black people the N-word, and talking about,
Wow.
these black people are mad that, you know, they tased them 20 times or whatever when we could have killed them. Some crap like that. It was crazy. And so that just happened like a few weeks ago. So the whole notion of, well, I've never seen a racist cop, so that means it can't exist. Like, it's the same thing. Like, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So I wanted to talk about that, you know, today, because I think that's an important notion to dive deep into, because again, it works two ways. And we have to be able to understand, like, you know what, just because I haven't seen that doesn't mean that I shouldn't think that it doesn't exist, and doesn't mean that I shouldn't give it some type of attention, because sometimes these things do deserve attention even though we've never experienced it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, I always go back to this, like anytime someone says like, well, you know, I ain't never seen a good cop. You know, all cops are racist, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, all cops are out to, you know, get me, and, you know, whatever. And I'll ask that person, you know, like, well, have you ever been driving down the street and like seen a cop, like kind of like parked facing like the direction in which you were driving, and you kind of got scared and tense, and, you know, you drove by them and, you know, nothing happened? Man, all the time where the cops would get behind me, and I'll freeze up and I'll slow down and start doing the limit, and I'll start signaling, and then they'll pass me, and I'll be like, whoo, man, thank goodness they ain't mess with me. And it's just like, well, how you know that cop wasn't a good cop? Like, he clearly did nothing that you thought he was going to do, right? Like, he didn't see a black person driving and pull you over and start beating you up, right? And it's like, how many officers see you in a day, physically lay eyes on you in a day, and don't think twice about you? Let alone a week, a month, a year. I think if we had a way to quantify those numbers, I think it would be very eye-opening for a lot of people. Of course, we can't, because, you know, we see a lot of people throughout our shifts and whatnot. But, you know, it just kind of goes back to that. And I think the oxygen one's a good one. You know, people all the time, that's one of the things they use like in their debates. It's like, well, you know, I ain't never seen, you know, a racist cop. I ain't never seen a cop do something racist in my career. And I've been on 10, 15 years. So I don't know what they're talking about. And it's like, well, maybe you did see it. Maybe you just didn't know what their motive was behind it.
Yeah.
Maybe you weren't there because they don't trust doing it around you. Maybe they only do it around a certain select group of officers who are like-minded and, you know, keep their mouth shut or whatever, right? Like, these are things to think about, because if we walked around with that notion, right? Like, well, if I can't see it, it ain't real. And let me tell you about natural gas, right?
Only way you know
can't
it's there.
see it.
Yeah.
And you can't even smell it unless they put the
that,
scent
yep,
in it,
yep.
right? But you breathe enough of that, you gonna know it's there.
And not only that, and so that kind of goes back to you said earlier, is like, this is going to be the year where we'll see if officers are charged. Officers have been charged many of times, and I've only known that because, again, I've done research. So there have been a lot of police officers that have actually been charged for doing corrupt or shady things or bad things within the scope of their duties, but we never hear about it. We never see it. Yeah. Why? Because
convicted.
Yeah,
This is the year that we're going to see if they're going to get convicted.
Oh yeah. So officers have been convicted, is what I mean. But even though they've been convicted, we don't necessarily see it. Well, why don't we necessarily see it? Is because it really doesn't draw that much attention. Think about the Jacob Blake one. That's a prime example. Jacob Blake, when that first came out, everybody was like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. This is traumatic. Dude was shot 7 times, blah, 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 blah. Well, when the charges were dropped, and then Jacob Blake was interviewed, people were like, oh, we understand exactly why this dude, the charges were dropped. So did that make as much mainstream media as it did when he first got shot 7 times. Absolutely not. It was a segment, a couple segments, maybe here or there, Jacob Blake interview, but outside of that, we didn't really see that much. We didn't see his attorney hitting the news waves again, saying, "Oh, this, and that." As a matter of fact, I bet you his attorney's like, "Hey, bro, I need you to keep your mouth shut. Like, put it down." Because right now, more attention is going to be more detrimental to their case if they want to win any money. So my point is this: is that just because we don't always see the things in the media, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And that is a huge pet peeve of mine, is because when I ask people, I'll get in debates with people about different topics. And I'm like, well, I've never seen that. Well, okay. Like, just because you've never seen it, it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And we deal with stuff like that all the time. Like, one of the questions I get is that, oh man, like, it's funny. I always laugh about this. One of the, like, I get interviewed. I've gotten interviewed many of times, and I always know the question's going to come up. And the question is, okay, Ryan, so tell me about the bad cop, or tell me about the crooked, shady cops that you work with on a day-to-day basis, like the corruption. It doesn't happen. What do you mean it doesn't happen? I see it. What do you mean it doesn't happen? I hear about it all the time. It's like, well, it ain't happened to me. Like, yeah, I know it may exist, but it don't happen here. And so my point is that, and that example's kind of on the opposite end, is like, do your own research. Go find out. Don't automatically write people off and say, oh, because they've never experienced it, or I've never experienced it, it must not exist. Or because you think you see it one way, it doesn't exist the other way. Like, just do your research, because that's the only way that you'll feel more comfortable about certain topics, as opposed to just going off of somebody's word. And I guess that's what I'm trying to come down to, is don't just go off of people's word. You know, don't just take somebody at their word and be like, oh, this guy's a shady cop because he said he's a shady cop. No, either have an experience with the police officer or go out there and figure out why he's a shady cop, vice versa.
I think that's another unique, like, thought process that some people have, is like, you know, you ask them, so okay, what would it take for you to know that, we'll just use this as an example, that there are racist police officers? It's like, well, I'd have to see somebody do something racist. So you give them a couple examples, right? Like, well, what about this video? You show them a video, or, you know, a news headline or something like that, and it's just like, well, how do I know that race was behind that? And it's like, okay, so what you're saying is you would have to see somebody do something, and then for them to admit the reason they did it is because race. And sometimes they'll, you know, say, oh yeah, that's it. Or sometimes they'll be like, no, that's not it at all. But like, ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is like, I think a majority of people with that thought process will literally have to see somebody do something, and then for that person to turn around and go, I did that because he's black. And then they'd be like, okay, well, and then, who knows? Then, you know, there might be like another excuse. But, you know, in today's society, and even back in the day, right? Like the Ku Klux Klan, they wore masks for a reason, right? Like, they didn't want their identity out there. And the same thing goes, you know, today. Like, when you're doing something you're not supposed to do, bank robbers, right? They don't want their identity out there. Same thing with being racist. They don't want their identity out there. Therefore, they're not going to say, oh, I did this because of race, or because I'm a racist. You know,
so let me bring up this to you. Can you turn up his mic a little bit?
Turn my snare up.
So I know this is going to be, again, we might lose some followers for this, but if I am going to, this podcast is called It's Needed, and we talk about real issues involving law enforcement in the community. So we got to have these discussions every now and again.
I got a story I'll share since we got the insurance on. I got a story I'll share.
So I had this conversation with my wife the other day, and I know this might be one that you and I are going to disagree on, potentially. But I think it's a good conversation. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now with the idea of some office or some departments getting rid of the thin blue line flag and banning it. And so obviously there's a lot of police officers in outrage about it, because they're like, oh, you know, it's a council culture, and they're just buying into the they're folding to the pressure. And so my wife knows, ever since I've been an officer, I ain't really been a big thin blue line flag guy, or not a thin blue line flag guy. I've never really been a thin blue line guy type of guy. Not to say, and don't get me wrong. So let me clear something up first. I understand what the thin blue line represents, and what I think it represents. I think it represents something phenomenal. I think it's very, Very true. We walk a thin blue line. We walk a thin line between good and evil, and making sure. Go ahead.
And just for everybody listening that may not know what the thin blue line represents is the thin line represents officers separating order from chaos, good and evil. So that's where the thin blue line came from.
So the idea and concept of that, I support hands down, absolutely. But the reason I don't always, or I don't necessarily rock the thin blue line stuff, is because for me, I feel like it divides. It can be divisive to people. And so me and my wife surprisingly got in an argument because my wife is like, I disagree. She was like, she thinks like it's honorable and this. And I was like, no, don't get me wrong. The concept, the idea, what it represents is good. But and she understands where I'm coming from. Where I come from is like, my goal, when I started Breaking Barriers United, my goal was to unify people. That's my goal, is to unify people. And the only way to unify people, sometimes you have to meet them where they're at. And so if I, for example, were to go into a minority neighborhood that I know does not like cops, and I walked in there with all my thin blue line stuff on, and they automatically don't like cops and they don't know me for who I am, is that going to bring me closer to them or bring me further than them, or allow them to put up a wall? Even I can tell them all the best stuff in the world, but they automatically will know that I'm a police officer right off the get-go, or at least a supporter of the police based off of the image or the symbol that I represent. Whereas if I came in there as Ryan Tillman, came in there as me being me, then at that point in time, then once I tell them, yeah, I'm a cop, I've already kind of broken that wall down a little bit to where it's like, it's hard for them to put it back up because, oh, you're a cop. It's like, no, this dude actually, there's a lot more similarities to this guy than I really do. So my point with her is that I want people to identify me as Ryan Tillman. Yes, don't get me wrong. This job is a calling. This job it's an honorable profession. Not many can do this job. But I don't want the job to become my identity. My identity is found in one, Jesus Christ, and my identity is found in Ryan Tillman. Therefore, for me, I personally think that, me rocking the thin blue line, it's harder for me to accomplish what my goal is than it is to, wear, and then it kind of hinders my goal. And I told her, I was like, I'm not saying I think everybody, like if I told her this, I was like, you're not wrong for wearing thin blue line stuff. So I don't want you,
right.
I don't want people to get me confused. Like, oh, you're wrong for rocking thin blue line. You're wrong for wearing it. Like, yeah, if you're proud of what we do and all that other stuff, like, no, wear it. But for me personally, I don't have a problem with that viewpoint, my viewpoint, simply because I have a mission in mind. And so we can't be so quick to judge some of the police chiefs, because some of these police chiefs are taking it down and there's cops coming against them saying they're folding under pressure. And I asked the chief, we had that chief, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want people being all mad at him. He probably wouldn't care if I did anyways, but we had him on our podcast. And the first thing I did was I asked him his thoughts, and his thoughts were the exact same as mine. Is I just think we need to unify. And I think sometimes that image or that symbol could be divisive. Whereas, and Sir Robert Peel said it best, we as police officers, we are the police of the community, and the community of the police. That's one of his pillars. And so when we have a symbol that kind of says, oh, well, but this is us though. This is us. You know what I mean? I think it can kind of be divisive.
I kind of see where you're coming from.
That was long-winded.
No. I mean, you definitely did a good job at explaining, like where you're coming from with that. And it does make sense. Two things, two issues that I have with it. The first of which, we got the insurance bucket ready. So we're going to use that bad boy today. Is I think that we are creating a culture of coddling, and it's very dangerous.
Yes.
And the only reason I say that is, today it's the thin blue line, right? Like, I don't want thin blue line anything because of what it represents. So instead of going out of our way, and in my opinion, doing what's right and explaining, hey, this is what the thin blue line represents. This is what it is. We're going, You want us to take it down? Oh, yeah, we'll take it. You want us to take it off
Yeah.
for cruisers? Yeah. What else do you want us?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
take the flags down in front of the precincts too. Yeah, I mean, my thing is it's a prideful thing. It's a very prideful thing. So, a majority of people know my story, right? A majority of people know how I grew up, my views on the police prior to joining the force. I have a brother. I have an older brother, and I would say up until me becoming a police officer, he had probably more extreme views than I did in a negative way representing law enforcement or towards law enforcement. A few years ago, he showed up to my house, and it was like a few weeks after my birthday, I want to say. And he has like a present. And he's like, oh, here's your present. Sorry it's late. And I open it up, and it's a thin blue line hat, like a fitted hat. It's fresh, like a straight brim fitted hat with like a thin blue line American flag. And I was like, man, that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Because now he understands what that is, and he wanted to gift me that. But in gifting me that, he also told me like, hey, I get it now. Rock this proud. I got me one too.
That's
So
cool.
I was like, man, that's cool, right? Same thing with like a thin red flag, right? Like you don't see people out here saying, take the thin red flag down. I don't like what it represents. Or the thing like this, like the made you look thing.
Yeah.
Like when people were freaking out about that, like, oh, that's a sign of white supremacists. It's just like, so I was a white supremacist when I was like 6 years old, making people go, made you look. And, my thing with that is if we're going to do it across the board, right? Say on a national level, they're like, okay, if you're in uniform, you can no longer wear thin line apparel, signio, whatever. So then, fast forward, we've coddled and kind of catered to a group of people, not even a majority of the people by any means. Well, we don't like the American flag patch you have on your shoulder. It offends me because I'm not from America. I'm an immigrant.
Yeah.
So then what? Do we take that down?
Yeah.
And it's just, and I hate to play the slippery slope game, but I feel like that's where we're at now. And, I know people are going to find an offense to this, but when we coddle people so much, there's long-term effects to that. And things could get really ugly. Me, myself, I don't wear thin line anything. 90% of the time I'm out, more so just because I don't want people to know.
Target you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like people put stickers on their cars, they get their windows busted, right? Like I just don't want to go through that headache. A majority of people know I'm a cop anyway, right? Because I do all the social media stuff. We got the podcast rocking, like all of this. I don't want to bring like any unnecessary attention, right? Any cop haters be like, oh, he got a thin line, I'm gonna go, let's jump him, right? That's why I don't wear it. There are times I will wear it, and I wear it proudly. So I don't agree with like Chiefs flat out being like, well, you can't wear it.
And that's the thing is like, like it is a slippery slope. And I agree with you. And I even said this, I think I told my wife this, is like, there is a fine line, because I wholeheartedly agree as we're coming into this coddling is like, well, if I don't like it, you need to get rid. And that's not what I'm about. Yeah. Like I told my wife specifically, I said, I am not saying, hey, stop wearing thin blue line or we need to get rid of it. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that I have a purpose for why I don't necessarily rock it or represent it, because it goes against what my message is. My message is to unify. And I'm not saying that flag or that symbol can unify. It can't unify. But I'm saying I know that based on experience, I know that it makes my job harder to unify. So I said, I'm not saying that, we go out there and we just cancel the whole thing in general. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for me, it's making my job harder. Therefore, I won't rock it like that.
Yeah. Not
saying we need to get rid of it though, because again, like I said, it represents something very, very good.
I always go to the why. So when this first happened, we're police chiefs across America. We're banning the thin blue line. I immediately go to, okay, why? Why are we banning it? And I am yet, and I could be wrong, right? Like I haven't dug super deep into this. I am yet to see a police chief say option B. So I'll give you option A, which is what I'm hearing. It's divisive. People are demanding that it's taken down. We do serve the community, things like that, right? I don't agree with those. But if they said B, then I would be like, okay, I understand it. And if they said something to the effect of, we are allowing police officers to put stickers on cruisers without approval. We're just going to put strict guidelines out on what you can and cannot put on a cruiser. That way there's no question about it, right? So like you can't go put like a Punisher skull on your cruiser. The same thing with you. I'd be in agreement with that. Okay. I get why you're doing it now, but the why in this situation is what's getting me.
Yeah, no, and the other thing too, and the last thing, because I don't want to beat a dead horse, but is when it comes to all of this, and it comes to this whole council culture, and we did, like you said earlier, there's a slippery slope. We got to be careful, and that's what I was gonna get at. The other reason I said I'm kind of just on me on an individual level, I don't want a flag representing or not a flag, but a symbol representing me, is because people within that thin blue line have also stabbed me in the back many times. For
sure.
And so my wife was like, well, does that mean that, other people and other things, we may rock the same symbol and something else, but there's still people bad in that? Does that mean you don't rock that? I'm like, yes and no. But
Christianity. I've had some people that say they was Christians.
Yeah.
Come in my neck.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so my point in that is like, that's why the only symbol I really say is like, unless it's a symbol involving Jesus Christ himself, which is the cross, that's the only thing I will identify with, because we also there's that fine line of making it an idol. Because there's a lot of people, man, that just everything they wear, everything they have, is like, then blue line this, then blue line now, all this other stuff, and it's like now you're like, mate, like this is who you are becoming, and it's like, do we want to become that? Like, don't get me wrong, we have an honorable job, it's tough, it's great, but at the same time, is that what our identity is? My identity is, like I said, my identity is found, one, in Jesus Christ, and two, Ryan Tillman. And so, like I said, sometimes there have been people within that same thin blue line that have stabbed me in the back many of times, which is, and so when I see those people rocking the thin blue line and I walk the same thin blue line, sometimes it's like, man, like, yeah, we supposed to be, joined together and stuff like that. And I get it, we're humans. Like they stab me in the back not because they're shady cops or nothing like that. They're really good cops or whatever. Like, so I'm not saying they're shady cops, but at the same time, it's because we're human. So my point is like, it's hard for me to just be like, man, like, feel like we are in this together, but yet I know you've also stabbed me in the back. That's why I'm just me, bro. Like I'm me.
That's it.
I'm just me. And I created my logo, BBUs Logo is one that, if you didn't know this, a lot of people don't know this. So the way I designed the logo, you have the BBU obviously, and you have the lines that go down the middle. So the lines go down the middle, is breaking the barriers, is breaking the logo, breaking the barriers of the logo. But then you have a black line and then a white line that meet together in the middle. So even though you're breaking the logo, they're also unifying in the middle. And so I created a logo.
Put some thought into that bad boy.
I did. So I created a logo that meant unity, as opposed to, at which I'll get behind. If it means unifying people, then all day. So I just thought that would be a good discussion to be had. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, well, I'm done with Ryan now. Hey, I've
been done with him, y'all. I've been done.
if I didn't keep it 100 with you, and I think that's why I appreciate you guys as listeners for showing up, is because you guys know we don't always got to agree on everything. And I'm going to end on this note. I don't know if I told you, but me and my buddy that had the falling out, my friend that had the falling out, we actually went to dinner last Monday, and we squashed our beef. And so
nice.
It was really, really cool. And so in that, we ultimately came to the conclusion, like, man, we're not going to agree on everything, but yet we can still move forward as being really good friends. And I told him at the dinner, I said, man, this past year, I've gotten some really good relationships with a guy that was shot 5 times by police and paralyzed.
Yep.
And bro, and I got to tell you later, I can't tell you guys right now because I'm not sure if it's public info, but the dude is doing some phenomenal work right now. He's about to meet the guy that actually shot him. But if that person can forgive that guy and still be cool and understand what cops do, then why can't we disagree? And the same thing with Artie, bro. Artie killed somebody and has experienced forgiveness on another level. So I'm like, and those guys, we don't always agree on a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that we don't agree on. But my point is like, we can still be cool. And so kind of going back to this whole notion, bringing things full circle, I saw somebody make a comment on Instagram this morning. It kind of got me fired up, but they were like, everybody was praising Tom Brady this morning because he did his thing. And so somebody was like, oh, have y'all forgot that fast? This is the same person that endorsed President Trump. And I'm like, why do we always got to take stuff
always
back?
something.
Like, it's always something. Like, okay. Like, yeah, so what? My man is now robbed of his entitlement to believe what he wants to. And so the reason I said it is I'm entitled to feel the way I want to. We may disagree on things, but that doesn't still mean that my heart is in the right place to try to bridge this gap between law enforcement community and move it forward. And so these are just conversations in the way I think. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it doesn't make me wrong. It doesn't mean like, oh, this dude is a freaking idiot now, I'm not going to listen to him. It just makes us different as human beings.
Perfect example. We agreed 2 to 3 different times during this episode of the podcast. You still my boy. I still know your heart is in the right place. I'm still your guy. You know, you still know my heart. You know what I mean? Like, same thing with Tom Brady, right? Like I said, I got a little beef with him about this qualified immunity thing. He's still a GOAT. Yeah, he's still a GOAT. Like, I'm not about to go steal on him the first time I see him.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't hate the guy.
You know, and that's
I want to have a discussion.
We don't even know the guy exactly. That's the thing with Tom Brady. He may support qualified immunity, not even realizing what it is.
Yeah.
And so going back to that topic is like, when you hear about what qualified immunity is, you're like, oh, this might be a good thing. So how much research do you think a guy like that is really going to do into this whole notion of qualified immunity if he's not even a cop? Right. So on one end, it could be very bad because like, well, shoot, he's endorsing something that he doesn't really know a lot about. But on the second thing is like, he really probably don't have time to be doing all the research. Somebody's like, hey man, this is what qualified immunity represents. He's like, oh man, that sounds like good. If it's going to improve law enforcement and community relations, let's do it. So we don't know. We don't know.
Is Billy punching the air right now? Like, is Billy, are you good?
Nah, Billy like asleep over here.
I'm good,
I ain't hear him say nothing this whole time. We had like some deep discussions. I ain't hear no punches being thrown by the microphone.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts real quick before we wrap it up, Billy?
Well, about the thin blue line, I think you're both right, to be honest. Like AJ, it shouldn't be divisive, and if you're proud of what you do, awesome, wear it. But just, I guess social pressure has made it to where like, if you're wearing a mask that has the thin blue line, oh, you don't think Black Lives Matter. And then if you're wearing a Black Lives Matter face mask, you hate cops. Like, and neither one of those are true. Neither one of those statements are true.
Right.
And then I also agree with Ryan, like he has a specific goal. So not wearing it, he doesn't want people to have this preconceived notion of who he is and what he's about. So
that
not wearing it's a goal. So
that sums it up. I want people to know. I want people to judge me based off of me.
Yeah, you need to connect with them before you can talk to them about police work in the
exactly.
first place. Yeah.
I want you to connect with me first, know me first. Same thing I tell the criminals in the street. Like, I want you to, like, if I gotta know me first and then judge me, but don't judge me based off of what you think of. And that's what I actually told my wife too. I said, look, a lot of people that aren't in law enforcement, they look at that as a symbol of racism. They look at it as a symbol, right, wrong, or indifferent, because we know it's wrong. We know what their reasoning is, but that's how they view it. They view it as a symbol of a silence, a brotherhood, a fraternity that does all this crooked, shady stuff. And so, like AJ said, like, shame on us for not going out there and educating people. But me knowing that that's why people, or that's what people think of, that's one of the reasons why I don't wear it, because you're gonna look at me automatically coming up like, oh man, I'm doing this, and that, without actually getting to know me for me. So
one gotta go. You ready for this?
Oh yeah.
Y'all ready for this?
Well, wait. Before, did you see mine the other day though? I want to know if you guys answered mine.
Nah.
Okay, we're not gonna get into. There's just it was the hot shower, toilet paper, toothbrush, and toothpaste. Those toothbrush and toothpaste went in. But do yours first. But toothbrush. I was wondering if you. You said toothbrush?
Let me think. Actually, toilet paper, because I could just buy one of them little
you tripping
sprayers.
Go ahead.
Get all that off. Then hop in the shower. All right, you ready? Sports edition. Their entire body of work as well. All right. So 1, Tom Brady. 2, Tiger Woods. 3, Michael Jordan. I'm kind of iffy on this fourth one. I'll use it. Jerry Rice.
Oh, Jerry Rice.
Yikes!
And here's why. Don't get me wrong, bro. I'm a 49er fan. Major. Jerry Rice is one of the reasons why. Jerry Rice is one of the reasons why I became a 49ers fan. However, Jerry Rice just impacted the 49ers. He didn't change the world of sports.
I don't know about that.
Nope.
I don't know about that.
Listen to me. Tiger Woods changed the game of golf.
For sure.
Hands down, bro. Hands down. He was golfing.
Michael Jordan.
He was
same.
golfing. He was golfing on golf courses that were racist and didn't allow black people to golf on.
Tiger Woods?
Yeah.
I did not know
Dog,
that.
watch this. There's a documentary out. There are places. Was it Augustus, where historically speaking, there were a lot of racial things that allowed. It was very racist.
What the heck year was that? Not that long
No,
ago.
not that
Just
long.
because you don't see it, Billy.
Doesn't exist. Yeah.
I guess it does exist.
Yeah. So Tiger Woods changed golf.
Yep.
And really
MJ
made it to
changed
where,
basketball.
MJ changed basketball. And Tom Brady, bro, like, think about what he's accomplished. Like the dude, and you just talked about earlier, he made other people who were shady, or not, I don't want to say shady, I don't want to call them shady, but we're going through troublesome times. And he almost helped them restore their identity, bro.
Okay.
Beyond just
All right.
the seven rings.
So let's replace him just real quick. We'll do this real quick because I feel like he's like generational. You know. So we'll go Mike Tyson. We'll replace him with Mike Tyson.
Replace who with Mike Tyson?
Or no, even better, Muhammad Ali. We'll replace him with Muhammad Ali.
Nah, bro, you can't do that.
Yep.
Nah,
So you got Muhammad
nah.
Ali. You got Tom Brady.
All right, you know what? We're no longer doing one has to go anymore.
That's a tough one.
I'm not getting rid of anybody, bro.
No, you have to. That's the game.
No,
Billy.
I changed the game. It's my rules. I changed the
Billy,
game.
Muhammad Ali, Tom Brady, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan.
I'm not kidding.
Look, I'm not a good person to ask. I had to Google who Jerry Rice was.
and that's why I wanted to get rid of him. That's why I wanted to
Yeah.
get rid of him because most people wouldn't even. That's tough.
I'm not getting
I'm
rid of
gonna
anybody.
go.
I'm gonna make a fifth one just so I can get rid of them.
No, you gotta pick. You have to pick one.
I'm gonna make a whack fifth one just so I can get rid of the fifth one.
Ooh, I'm gonna go.
You can't get rid of none of them, bro.
Definitely not Michael Jordan. Okay,
I'm
he's
not
number
getting rid of
one.
any of them.
He's number one.
I'm gonna show y'all my true
It might be.
my fanhood, bro, and all of it. I'm gonna show you how dedicated and loyal I am. I'm not getting rid of none of them.
I'm gonna go Tom Brady.
Are you tripping?
Yeah, Tom Brady got to go. Billy, you know these four people.
I do know the names.
I do know the names.
With my limited knowledge of sports, I guess Tom Brady has made the least impact on society as a whole.
How?
Okay, he's
That's what
won.
I'm saying.
He's won a lot, but
That's what I'm
I
saying.
feel like the others were like social movers. You know,
That's what I'm
in a
saying.
sense.
Yeah. That's like
world shakers. And I think
That-
Tom Brady can be the best at his sport, but I wouldn't say he's like a world shaker.
that's it. Yep. That's exactly why I picked him. Like he's a GOAT. He is a dog. But when you compare Ali, Jordan, and Tiger, they did things well beyond the sport. Well beyond the sport. And in a super impactful way.
Well, I don't know. Here's why.
Qualified immunity.
Here's why. And where are we at on time, Billy?
Hour 6.
Okay, we'll wrap it up soon. Here's why. Tiger, like, he did think, like, yes, he broke social norms within the sport, though.
Don't talk him up and then talk him down.
No. Hear me out. No,
build him up.
First billionaire athlete.
Hear me.
Gatorade.
Hear
and
me
all
out, though. Hear
No,
me
I
out.
think MJ was.
Oh, okay.
Hear me
Yeah,
out,
Michael Jordan was.
because if we like Jordan, social like movement beyond just the sport, brought people together. Who was the other one?
Ali.
Ali, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's no hands
Undeniable,
down.
yeah, yeah,
Undeniable. Tiger, don't get me wrong. He made black people like golf. You know what I mean? Essentially, like golf.
Yeah.
He he made it easier for us to go to the golf courses in some places.
Mm-hmm.
So but that was that's specific to golf. Off the field, did he do anything really to help off the field?
Well, he helped himself a lot. A lot of women.
A lot of
Yeah,
women.
I mean, you just said like like not golf related, I guess would be like a better way to phrase that. I would say, yeah.
Because Tom Brady, from a motivational standpoint, for Tom Brady, like he's helped people from a business aspect, and I've known that multiple times, talking about like business owners and like the underdog, like his story in and of itself, like has helped people aspire to accomplish things that they wouldn't typically accomplish because of his. Like that dog that he had, like, hey, despite the odds against me, I'm still going to go out there and be successful. And
so do all the rest of them.
And here's the other thing I love about Tom Brady is, if you really think about Tom Brady, he wasn't like some crazy. He don't have he's not the most agile. He don't got the best arm. He don't got the best like.
Bro, Brady got a laser, bro. What?
There's a lot of other. Michael Vick had a laser.
Yeah, but Vic was a dog, but dogs got Vic in trouble.
My point is though Tom Brady wasn't the most extraordinary athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. If you really think about it, have you ever seen
like
Tom Brady trying to scramble?
He's a natural leader.
That's what I'm saying. So he's a natural leader. He got great based off of his smarts. I don't know, man. I'm not getting rid of it.
But put it like this.
I'm still saying I'm not getting rid of it.
Put it like this. He's in your bottom two.
Yeah,
I can tell by what you said. He's in your bottom two.
He's in. He does. There's no comparison to Jordan or Muhammad Ali, so he's definitely my bottom two.
I mean, the name of the game is one has to go.
One has to go. How he start the game and can't play the game? Like,
oh man,
just go ahead and say it, Ryan.
So it sounds like Tiger Woods is going for you.
Nah, Tiger's still Tiger, bro. Like Tiger's still, and you know me, I'm a golf. Tiger's still Tiger.
So Brady did.
I can't say it, bro.
So it's Brady.
I'll let the users
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Ryan Tillman from Breaking Barriers United. Brady gotta go.
I'll let our fans decide on this one.
I'm gonna make a post.
Man,
that'd be good. There's gonna be some fights in the car. I guarantee you. I'm gonna call it. Y'all ready for this? I guarantee you it comes down to race. I guarantee you people start arguing about race in the comments. I'm just putting it out there.
I know that. I know that. I can get everything comes down to race, bro. I can say I chose to wear red draws today and be like, oh, bro, how come you wearing red, bro? You know, black people, we shouldn't be wearing red. And this, everything come back to race. You know,
Billy got on some red draws right now.
Yeah, you know, you know why? And I say that I'm saying that sarcastically if y'all didn't pick that up. But everything in my comment section, everything on Instagram, all that stuff, it always comes back to race. It always does. Never fails. Mm-hmm. Never fails. So, anyways, hey y'all, this was a deep podcast. Hopefully, we still have some listeners and fans.
We got a treat for y'all next week, so tune in.
Yeah,
good guest.
Yeah, hopefully we still have some listeners after this one, bro. I might have lost all of our listeners, bro. Yeah. All those downloads we was getting, say bye to those, bro. They be like,
I'll give y'all a little teaser. If you ever wanted to hear a in-depth professional discussion about race, you have to tune in next week. You have to. It's a must.
We definitely not getting no listeners next week now.
It's a must. Now it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, but it's gonna be real.
So, well, hey y'all. This that wraps it up for another episode of Isn't It Podcast. Hey, I haven't said this in a while, but do us a favor. Go on, if you like this podcast, if you like the realness that we bring to the table, please give us a 5-star rating, 5-star review on Apple iTunes, wherever you listen to all your podcasts at. So that way it helps us continue to climb up the charts, because we truly do want to make a lasting impact. This has nothing to do with popularity. This has nothing to do with likes. This has nothing to do with, fame or nothing like that. It has everything to do with us trying to really bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. And sometimes we do that through having these transparent dialogues. So thanks again, guys. We appreciate you, and we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.